one time I ran into a guy who was the website designer at the University of Daly, Kansas. And he kind of got me interested in website design. And so when he left to go to Apple, I took over his position and immersed myself in website design. And at the same time, I got experience to online advertising because our newspaper was not only physical, it was digital, and we actually sold online ads. And I was like, this is pretty cool. And so that really gave me an experience that allowed me to stand out to ad tech companies like DoubleClick, which was acquired by Google. So it really started there. And then from there, I got into display advertising and ad exchanges, video advertising, and did that for about 2 years before I realized that I wanted to shift over more to the organic side of things. And so I got into working with different agencies in the SEO realm, which I really liked. And I felt like I was doing a better job of kind of making the world a better place through, researching what people are looking for and adding to their websites versus just blasting them with ads all day. And so I liked that nature of it. And from there on, I was like, I really don't want to go back to anything display advertising. It has its place, it has its value. But for me, both from a contributing value standpoint, feeling like I'm contributing more, and also from a day-to-day standpoint, I feel like I just like what I do more in the SEO and CRO field. So that's in a nutshell how I landed at Native Digital. And after working in pharma for about 3 years, I decided it was nice to change things up. And so that was one of the things also that attracted me to Native Digital, getting to work for a wide variety of clients. So that's how my career's progressed, where it's going to go from here. I have a little bit of an idea, but I've learned that you never fully know.
I think that's so true. In your opinion, do most brands properly invest in SEO, over invest in it, or under invest in SEO?
So I can speak to the pharmaceutical industry because that's what I spent my last 3 years in, and they do a very good job of investing in SEO. And it's one of those untapped markets that gives them a competitive advantage versus a lot of other pharmaceutical brands that haven't. And they also realize the business intelligence possibilities that come with SEO, understanding what their patients' true pain points are so that they can address them at all different touch points with the customer. So from a pharma perspective, I think they're doing a really great job as far as investing in SEO. Now, as I move into other companies, I think that they're leveraging it from a practical, let's get our site up in search results. But I think many more companies could do a better job taking the competitive insights that come from just people searching and understanding search behavior to better inform their business decisions, again, at all touch points. So I think there's a lot of room for companies to leverage that part of SEO that I think they'll start to realize the value as we continue to move forward and learning how this all works.
Yeah. If you were working at a technology company that's, progressed out of the seed stage, maybe you're in Series A or Series B, and then you're going to, progress on, hopefully go to IPO, right? So if you just think through that progression of growth, at what stage would you say it's the appropriate time to really get serious about SEO?
I'd say it starts from the beginning. Again, it kind of goes back to the competitive intelligence is as far as like understanding how your product or your service is going to help people. When you think about, just as a person outside of SEO, like your search engine, your search browser is the one thing you never lie to. It knows your deepest secrets, all your desires and your pain points. So the tools we have allow us to leverage that data in a very anonymized way, but still valuable enough that you can help those companies that are just getting started really refine their product. And then you iterate from there. So you want a site that shows up in search results. Obviously, there's things that you can do for that. As far as making yourself attractive to investors, SEO can help you determine what type of content you may want to have within your content marketing strategy. So I think it evolves, but it starts at the very beginning.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the most impressive companies that are coming to us, they one of the signals that they have really got it figured out is that they have been investing in SEO pretty strongly for some time, right? Like it's not the only thing they do, but they didn't wait around for it. Like they got busy on it, and they really put, whenever resources were precious, it was one of the things that they prioritized. And I continually see that among the most fast growing companies. They started it early. They didn't wait for it. And so usually we hear that it's a commonality that we're hearing, is they're serious about it. Whereas sometimes we'll work with an organization and you can hear them kind of say, well, we're getting around to it, or they're just kind of still on the elementary basic levels of it, right? Like they haven't quite got, you could tell they haven't really taken it serious yet. And which means that there's untapped opportunity. Like other people are people are looking for something like that, and they're not coming to them, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I think that SEO too is such a squishy topic that relates to so many different things. So when you have a brand that's educated on exactly what SEO can do for them, they understand where it can plug into different points, versus some brands that just think of SEO as this, oh, just get to the top of search results. So they don't understand the true value of it. And I think it's our job as agencies to better promote all the capabilities, all the stages. And that's one thing I think Native Digital does a really good job of.
Yeah, interesting. So you talked about how you had tried the paid efforts, and then with organic, you really felt like you found a little bit more of a passion for it. I think it sounds to me like you were more sort of turned on by the inbound nature, like people are looking for this, let me help them solve that and put clients in a position to be that solution, versus kind of going out and being in front of them, right? Although you're using really similar skill sets, but that sounds like that's kind of like the driving passion. Are there things that you find yourself, like if you just think about on a weekly basis, are there other aspects of the role, either in what you're doing or the clients you're working for or the team that you're working with, that kind of fuels you and kind of energizes you in your work?
Yeah, so a lot of times it's just finding things that are wrong with products, and every product has like something that can be optimized. Just the nature of why businesses stay in business is they're continuing to build upon what they have. And so when I find something that's just like a pain point, just I know as a consumer of a lot of different products, just like everyone else, certain things work and certain things just don't work well. So when I find something from one of our clients that I can improve, whether it be key content that's missing or just a process of checking out or signing up that just is clunky and we can fix that, I love it, because in my own little way, I know I made hundreds, thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people's day better in that one little micro segment of their day, whether it's checking out for a product or looking for the information that they've been seeking out and can't find on any website. Like I take value in, yes, it's a very small thing, but I did my part to make that person's day better. We've all had really bad experiences with online platforms, and then experiences that are pretty flawless. And sometimes you're just like, wow, that was easy. And so that's really what I want to deliver for our clients.
Yeah, what's the thing that's kind of piquing your interest right now, in terms of like maybe it's the next thing in SEO, or it's the most recent like really tough problem to solve for? Is there something that's kind of on your mind that you're actively trying to scale up on?
Yeah, I think it's just trying to think here. I think it's delivering what we've done, but just in a faster way. I think everybody can do kind of the basics, but if we can iterate, move real fast, and find those quick wins, which quick wins in the SEO world can be like an oxymoron, but there are certain things that you can do really quick so that you're delivering value in the long run as well as delivering value in the short run. So a lot of it's automation. So a lot of SEO involves still a lot of manual data pulling. So whenever we can create some system that allows us to evaluate things faster or track performance faster, we can deliver faster results for our clients. So that's where I'm honing in right now, as well as on the business intelligence standpoint, just making our lives easier so that we can make the lives of our customers way easier as well, and get their products seen by as many people as possible to help those people out.
I love that answer because I fully agree with it. I mean, a lot of our clients will say, "Can I, if you can give me the same quality but faster, like that, I would rather have that than whatever quality perception is." People want to move, and I think we really need to be built for that. We put a lot of effort into it, for sure. So I fully agree with that. Just about the team that you're working with right now. Like Frank, you could have worked pretty much wherever you wanted. Why did you decide to go to Native?
Well, I think part of the reason was I really liked the people and the approach that Native Digital took when talking to me. So truth be told, Native Digital wasn't on my radar. I was looking actually in-house at a lot of different companies just because I had been not burned out on agency life, but I was looking for something that was a little bit different. And I remember having some early conversations with Taylor and Matt about the agency and being kind of like, I'll see how it goes. And just being really kind of fascinated about those initial topics I had with them as far as their client mix, how they approach SEO, kind of the fluid network of fluid structure in which we can kind of move our hours around to really help the client versus being very structured and having to do certain things with certain budgets. So that was really attractive. And then just the client mix. I'm not going to lie, that's probably 50% of my decision was we work with really cool clients who are doing really cool things. And it makes my day way better when I get to work on those types of clients. So definitely a mixture of smart people, nice people, people that are interested in actually making a difference, and the client mix. Those all combined and led me to Native Digital.
What's different compared to what you obviously before you accepted the role, you had an idea of what you thought the position would be like. What turned out to be different than what you expected?
Actually, things have been pretty on par with what I
Really?
expected in a good
That's
way.
not a bad thing.
Yeah, like there have been nothing's thrown me for a loop in a good way. There's a lot of learning opportunities, things I just didn't get to touch on at my previous agency that I've really enjoyed learning about, but I anticipated that. And yeah, everything's been kind of as promised.
Yeah, that's not always the case, right? Sometimes you come in and you have an idea of, hopefully it's in a positive way, but yeah, I think it's important whenever we're talking with people just to give them a good expectation of really what it's going to be. What's a day like? What's the team like? What do we value? What's priority?
Yeah, one of the things that I want to touch on too, that I just remembered that I really like about Native Digital versus other agencies. So I remember having very early conversations about why we choose to use certain platforms, whether it's Google Analytics, Google Optimize, or NameX platform. And talking with Matt, one of the key things he brought up is we like to ensure that our clients are set up with something where in the unfortunate case they would leave, they have access to all their data and they can easily move to someone else. And that's great. I think that's empowering to the client, and it makes them really appreciate us as a partner because we're not trying to lure them in and sink our tentacles into them with technology that they wouldn't be able to take to another partner. So empowering the client, that's not the case at a lot of other agencies I've worked with. It's custom software that makes it very difficult for them to move. And so it's kind of in a weird way, it really attracts the clients because yes, you're making it easier for them to move, but they appreciate that so much more from a transparency point of view. And that's one of the things that I've really liked. That's maybe a little bit of a surprise just because I haven't seen that in many other agencies.
So that comes from a place, I'll tell you the background on that decision beyond just the fact that I think it's the right thing to do, right?
Yeah.
For years prior to Native, I was on a pitch team. I'd fly around the country. I would meet clients. We were continually going up against a couple competitors at this other agency where their thing was, we're going to charge you less initially, but we're going to get our hooks into you with this proprietary thing. And then you literally have to pay all these like contractual, fees to try to get out of it, and good luck with it. Once you get out of it, you're not going to have much. And those businesses were wildly successful because nobody ever left. They would get lured in with these low fees and then they just charge them, never could go away. But what I noticed as I would be in these conversations is nobody liked them. They never had anything positive to say about them. but they would continue to get selected because everybody else was with them, and they liked that low up front. So they got tricked into it, right? And I thought, seems like a bad business practice to have such a terrible reputation. Like, how can you possibly build a business, strong, durable business with such a bad reputation? Well, they were. But it also didn't, I'm like, I wouldn't want to be associated with a company that just gets torched by its clients, right? So I always pushed that agency to be the opposite of them. And so it may have not been a great business practice, but I thought it was ethical. And I felt good about being like part of the ethical team, you know? So when we started Native, it was the same deal. It's like, we need to make ourselves super easy to fire. And that will incentivize us to always work harder because we know we're easy to fire. We make it super portable. And so that to me has always been the approach. And I think some clients really value it. I think some take it for granted. Some think that's just the way it should be. But we continually see people picking somebody who maybe has a proprietary thing and they don't realize what they're about to walk into. We try to sort of help them understand what that is, but that's the background on that, beyond it just being the right thing to do.
Yeah, usually sometimes the right thing to do, I feel like it can take a little while to pay off. But in the long run, it seems like it always does.
I agree. I would much rather be the place that maybe doesn't retain a certain client. If a client doesn't want to be with us, why would we force them to stay? That just seems so odd to me.
Yeah.
And why would you just let your reputation go straight into the ground? To me, your reputation is everything. So we just really tried to prioritize that. If someone doesn't want to be with us, they shouldn't be with us, you know? And if it's our fault, then shame on us. We don't deserve to work with them anyway. So yeah, I'm glad you appreciate that, because there's outsiders who would say, oh, you guys need to be a little bit more proprietary with this stuff and retain clients. Like, I don't want to hurt the reputation though.
No, it's a very attractive value proposition from my point of view.
You know, I think probably what we underestimate is that we understand that we did that for the client, but I think maybe to your point, we forgot that actually our team appreciates that too. Because you should have happier employees if your clients appreciate you and want to be there. If they're disgruntled that they're locked into a contract, how are they going to treat us?
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
I totally get it. Have you had any? What's a good day for you at work? Like when do you kind of check out and think, oh, that's a pretty good day?
So I'll contrast it. So certain days, what I've found is even certain days I am trying to solve a complicated problem. It could be there's an intricate tagging setup on a website, or I'm trying to understand, say, a booking platform and how we can improve it. And those days can be really tough because you're hitting your head against the wall trying to figure something out. And then the next day you solve it and it's such a good feeling. So those are the days that I appreciate the most. Okay, let me say it again. The days where I'm hitting my head against the wall, those are the days in which I'm probably making the most progress, but the days in which I finally solve the issue, those are the best days. So I know that it's always going to be like that there's just going to be certain days where just things aren't working out and you're making progress. It just doesn't feel like it. But yeah, the best feeling is making a process smoother or making a product that has a better quality, and quality can be defined so many different ways. But in the SEO world, a lot of times it's, hey, this content was lacking in the overall corpus of possible resources, and we filled that niche. So now people are going to find the information they need. And usually it does show up later on in the metrics. And so you get that initial great feeling of knowing you filled that gap, and then it'll happen down the road multiple times. You see that payoff for the client as well.